Yeah.
Totally.
So give us, tell us, why you're running and what this campaign is about and what you're going to do for us as mayor.
Sure.
And why you should get the Guardian endorsement.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you guys for your time. I moved to San Francisco 15 years ago for the reasons that hundreds of thousands of San Franciscans have moved here over time. Our city is a beacon of diversity and tolerance and commitment to social justice, and this is why for a number of years I worked as a prosecutor and as a civil rights attorney representing immigrants and fighting for those very values. As you know, I also worked as a founder of a small business in another aspect of our city's greatness, which is our city's innovation. And then as a community activist, I have been very committed to our neighborhoods. I used to chair a local neighborhood association in my district and also chaired the board of the nonprofit that has built the most affordable housing in the Northeast neighborhoods, which you guys know about. In 2008, I was inspired to run in part because of what was going on with President Obama and the desire for a new generation of leaders to help move our cities forward. And I'm proud of my record over the last 3 years, first as a supervisor of District 3, but also as president of the Board of Supervisors on a number of dimensions. First, proud of the work that I've done to move forward an agenda around transparency, around making sure that that all lobbyists have to let us know in a very public way on publicly accessible databases who they are lobbying at City Hall. Last year,
Except Willie Brown.
except for unregistered lobbyists.
Right.
Yes,
Rose
we
Brown.
probably need to do something around unregistered lobbyists at some point. Last year, at the request of ethnic communities and the women's community that had felt shut out of the city's commission appointments process, I passed legislation to create an open government database so that we all know who our vacant commissioners are so that there is more access to that process. I'm also very proud of my environmental record and received the first place endorsement of the League of Conservation Voters recently for my legislation that would hopefully phase out yellow page phone books in our city, that will hopefully phase out the toxic trio that are often found in nail salons. My legislation to put San Francisco at the forefront of the urban agriculture movement, as well as the nation's most stringent requirements when it comes to energy audits of commercial buildings downtown. I'm proud as a former civil rights attorney of what I've been doing to promote immigrant rights and civil rights in our city. I authored our city's language access ordinance and made sure in our budget for the first time we are putting in money for translators. I also, as I think you've known for years, have been an advocate of for me, one of my favorite ideas about how to promote democracy and civic engagement, which is to allow immigrant parents to vote in school board elections, as immigrants have been allowed to vote for the first 150 years of our country's history, something that has been permitted by the Supreme Court. And I think this would be a very important step to not only empowering our immigrant communities that make up a huge fraction of our city's population, but of also helping to improve our schools and engaging more parents in that area. As someone who came out of the neighborhood world, I have worked very closely with my neighborhood associations to make sure that they have more access to city government. One of the things that we've done in District 3, which is a model that I want to take citywide, is this concept of neighborhood councils, of setting up on Polk Street and North Beach essentially a coalition of neighborhood associations working with merchants, working with CBOs, churches, and interfacing directly on a regular basis with rank and file city staffers. I think one of the biggest frustrations people have about city government is the lack of access that they feel that they have, and the fact that many rank and file bureaucrats are not being responsive to the people, but they're actually being responsible to managers and the department heads that are not as connected to the real neighborhoods. And so this is a model that we have successfully operated in our district that I would like to expand citywide. I'm also proud of the work that I've done to help create jobs in San Francisco. I think that is absolutely the #1 priority that the next mayor needs to think about, in that we have lost literally tens of thousands of jobs in recent years We've lost hundreds of companies, and as someone who ran a small business in San Francisco, I am acutely aware of all the challenges that city government has placed in front of business founders and entrepreneurs, starting with the 15 city departments that are creating a huge mess of a bureaucracy to navigate, moving on to the hundreds of fees that we've nickel and dimed our small businesses with over years, and I'm happy that last year the Board of Supervisors passed my legislation to eliminate dozens of these fees. We've had conversations about the importance of business tax reform and the fact that when you have a tax that penalizes the creation of labor in labor-intensive industries, if you have a tax that only impacts 10% of all of the 80,000 businesses that we have here, that is neither a smart way to tax the business community, nor is it a particularly fair way to tax the business community. I know many mayoral candidates have come out in support of business tax reform, but I was the first person to talk about the need for business tax reform when I served on our City Small Business Commission. As soon as I came into office, this was something I focused on. Last year, as you know, I led an effort to think about how to reform our business tax, and this year I actually put money into our city's budget to bring in some consultants and economists to give us a roadmap and how we can move wholesale, I think, from our current business tax to something quite different. I can talk on and on, but I have a feeling that you guys probably want to talk about other topics, and you let me know where you want things to go. You know, let me actually end with one thing, which is I read your progressive agenda, and one thing I want to mention is that you mentioned that your effort bringing about 100 folks together to craft this was the one effort that was done during this mayoral season to do that. I believe that there were actually two. We actually held, I think, 8 forums on a whole variety of policy topics. We engaged hundreds of folks that were not necessarily friends of David Chiu. These are folks that cared about all the various agendas that I have just talked about. We brought them together, and they were, over the course of months, the source of ideas for what we've referred to as my 21st century blueprint for San Francisco, and I assume you might have had a chance to take a look at that.
I have, and I actually